A major celebrity is heading to Stillwater to celebrate America's greatest homecoming. A new season of the NBA starts tonight. Plus, another Cowboy has been honored as Player of the Week. All of that and more coming up on the Daily O. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday edition of the Daily O. I'm Emma Lightfoot. Let's get right into it. Cowboy football returns back to Stillwater after dropping its first game of the season on Saturday to TCU. Head coach Mike Gundy spoke with the press about the performance, as well as preparing for another top 25 rival in Texas.
We just couldn't rush the ball effectively. It became one-dimensional. So you come one-dimensional, much more easier to defend.
What was going wrong with the running game?
We just weren't very physical, and we just couldn't get into a rhythm rushing the ball. We just got to keep doing the same stuff we're doing and improve.
Go ahead. Do you anticipate Spencer?
Dom is more mature than any running back that we have on our team, period. If 23 had another year under his belt, he would share more of the load right now. And we're going to get him more carries as we move forward to protect 20. 20 ran hard. 20 got us yards at times we didn't have yards. We need to front guys up better. We need to move our feet, cover guys up. When you play a team that spreads out and then they have number one, you have to be aware of where one is all the time. I mean, y'all have watched him. We tried to defend him. He still made a bunch of plays. But you have to be aware of him, and you have to be aware of the quarterback run. So that takes away from your pass rush. But it's not working for some reason. There's too much of a human involvement and a human error. And I think the officials would agree. Everything that we can do to take the officials out of the game where human error cannot be a factor would be better.
Defense, how you feel they're playing?
They're the same every year, right? They're big up front. They don't play with small guys. They don't play with undersized guys. All their backers are thick and they can run. They're in a challenging mode more this year than they were last year. They're playing more man this year than they were last year. They're going to play some mini, going to play some quarters. But they're playing with NFL guys on defense. I mean, it's the same thing they've always played with. I just believe in developing the ones in our program, and those discussions could go on forever. We try to recruit the right players that we think that can fit in our culture and do what we do in our schemes and develop them. We think we have young players that are going to develop. We're going to stay with those guys because they understand our culture, different than a new guy coming in that we have to train, which takes a little bit of time.
A week ago, you were talking about maybe this being the best.
Saturday, with the exception of we missed 2 tackles and they got a 30-yard return. So that's going to happen some. And that guy's a good player. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, our guys make people miss. And then college football is about finishing with touchdowns and not field goals. And our defense did exactly that on Saturday in the first half. Held them to field goals. And we scored touchdowns. And then in the second half, we ended up kicking field goals, and they scored touchdowns. And then overtime ended up being a difference.
In other Cowboy news, kicker Tanner Brown was once again honored as the Co-Special Teams Player of the Week by the Big 12. This marks Brown's second Player of the Week nod in the 2022 season, as well as the 4th consecutive game that a Cowboy has earned the conference special teams recognition. Brown was a perfect 4 for 4 on Saturday's game against TCU, which included a career-high kick of 52 yards. Brown has now made 8 field goals in the past 2 games. The only other OSU kicker to accomplish that feat was All-American Quinn Sharp back in 2012. On the season, Brown hasn't missed a beat, nailing all 12 field goals for the season. Brown also hasn't missed an extra point and is the only kicker in the FBS to attempt 40 or more place kicks without a miss. Brown takes home the Cowboys' 7th weekly honor of the year and joined running back Jaden Nixon as the only players for OSU with multiple weekly honors. Moving on to the Michael and Ann Greenwood Tennis Center, where the ITA Women's Central Regional Tournament concluded action yesterday. In the semifinals, OSU's Sofia Rojas fell to Arkansas's 18th-ranked Carolina Gomez Alonso in 2 sets at 6-7 and 2-6, while veteran Alana Wolfberg lost to Oklahoma's Julia Garcia-Ruiz in straight sets of 4-6 scores. Gomez Alonso went on to win the singles tournament, defeating Garcia-Ruiz in straight sets. Rojas and Wolfberg were the only remaining Cowgirls competing in the regionals yesterday. The Cowgirls now set their sights on the ITF Pro Circuit in Waco, Texas, starting on October 24th. Let's take a quick break before getting back into the action, but stay right there. One famous rapper will be coming out to celebrate Homecoming Week here in Stillwater. Find out who when the Daily O returns.
Tucked away in the city of Ripley, Oklahoma, the award-winning Washington Irving Trail Museum showcases the heritage and history of Payne County. This museum holds antiques, treasures, and artifacts that one cannot find at any other museum. With hundreds of historical antiques that display OSU history, along with Native American history, the museum has it all. The museum is well known for their book containing pictures and news articles about Frank Eaton, the original Pistol Pete. Dale Kluber opened Washington Irving Trail Museum in 1994 with his collection of historical mementos. This museum is filled from wall to wall with Oklahoman history. The Washington Irving Trail Museum is 15 minutes outside of Stillwater. Experience history at one of Oklahoma's hidden gems.
My name's Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate.
Fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.
Well, how I got started was my daughter said, "Mama, why don't we rent a booth at the Quarter Horse Show?" And it was very, very good because, you know, when you're giving your jelly away for free, people really do love it. But when you ask them to pay for it, then that's a true test. What makes my product so unique is the Scotch bonnet pepper. And the Scotch bonnet is the Jamaican pepper. And I had lived in Montego Bay, Jamaica for 4 years. So I learned how to handle the pepper and how to cook with it. I always say, you don't do this on your own. I mean, you have so many people that help you along the way. For me and for many of us, that's my name on that jar, and it better be good.
Welcome back to the Daily O. It's America's greatest homecoming week, and students at OSU are ready to party. Oklahoma State announced the annual Homecoming in Hoops event yesterday, which will take place on Friday, October 21st. The event is headlined by a Waka Flocka Flame concert at 9 p.m. and will include introductions to both OSU basketball teams and its wrestling team. The event is free to attend, and there will be a 15-minute break between the event and the Waka Flocka Flame performance to allow younger families to exit prior to the concert. GIA doors will open at 8 p.m. as festivities begin at 9 p.m. Be sure to arrive early, as this event is free on a first-come, first-served basis. The doors will close at 9:30. Let's get into national news going on around the country. Brazil and Paris Saint-Germain forward Neymar Jr. appeared in a Barcelona court on Monday, along with 8 others, facing fraud and corruption charges over his 2013 transfer from Santos to Barcelona. According to Reuters, Neymar arrived from Paris and spent around 2 hours in the courthouse before being excused by the judge for the rest of the day's proceedings. The case was brought on by a Brazilian investment firm, DIS, owners of 40% of Neymar's rights while he was at Santos, who alleged that his transfer to Barcelona was undervalued. The 30-year-old is a defendant alongside his parents, former Barcelona presidents Josep Maria Bartomeu and Sandra Rosell, representatives of both clubs, and Odilio Rodriguez, Santos president. All 9 defendants have repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, according to Reuters. Spanish prosecutors are pursuing a 2-year prison term and a $9.8 million fine for Neymar, as well as a 5-year jail term for Rosell. Neymar is scheduled to testify on Friday, the same day PSG take on Ajaccio in Ligue 1. The 30-year-old scored PSG's winner in Sunday's Le Classique against Marseille at the Parc des Princes. In Indonesia, the Kanjuruhan Stadium is going to be knocked down and rebuilt. Earlier this month, more than 130 fans died after the authorities fired tear gas in an attempt to quell a crowd disturbance, with devastating consequences. It's one of the world's deadliest stadium disasters. The news broke as FIFA's president, Gianni Infantino, traveled to Indonesia on Tuesday, where he met with the country's president, Joko Widodo. Their conversations revolved around the desire to reform the game, and Infantino emphasized the need to improve the infrastructure. The Arizona Cardinals have acquired Robbie Anderson from the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 6th-round draft pick and a 2025 7th-round draft pick. Tensions between Anderson and the Panthers organization finally reached its breaking point after Anderson was kicked out of Sunday's matchup against the LA Rams by interim head coach Steve Wilks. Anderson struggled last season but posted a career high of just under 1,100 yards in his first season with Carolina. In 5 games this season, Anderson has 206 yards receiving and a touchdown. With Marquise Brown now hurt and DeAndre Hopkins just getting up to speed, Anderson will serve as a viable option for Kyler Murray in Arizona. It's time for another break, but when we come back, we have you covered on everything going on in professional sports. Stick around. The Daily O will be right back.
You may have been to casinos at some point in your life, but do you really know the truth behind the game you're playing?
And the casinos were very polemic or very controversial when they came out. But the truth was, that's all the federal government gave us.
Casino is owned by the Chickasaw Nation and has roughly 600,000 square feet of dedicated gambling space, making it the world's largest casino. It contributed massively to the Chickasaw Nation, posting a net revenue of $1.4 billion for the fiscal year of 2017.
Our state is one of the most beautiful and unique states in the USA. With diverse geographies, the historic Route 66, unforgettable restaurants, and some of the greatest people on the planet. With so much to see and so much to do, living in Oklahoma means one of the best vacation spots is right in our own backyard. Doesn't this story need to be told? As filmmakers and photographers based right here in Oklahoma, we thought so. And hey, who doesn't like a good road trip? So, we packed up our cameras, teamed up with Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell and the Oklahoma Tourism and Recreation Department, and that's how this series was born. We want to show you why traveling within the great state of Oklahoma is a great idea. So come join us for thousands of miles over the next year, from Broken Bow to Black Mesa. This is the Oklahoma Road Trip.
Over the years, we kind of realized that you can get ribs anywhere, you can get a steak anywhere, but you can't always get a Mountain View hot link like ours. So we really decided to focus on that niche and realized we had something really special. So that's when we started focusing more on the hot links, but it's still the same family recipe they were making all those years ago. For us, many of our people that work here have been with us for years and decades. So whereas machines kind of break down over time, the people just get better. And it shows in the products we produce. When you buy a Mountain View product, not only is it going to taste dynamite, but you're also feeding Oklahomans. You're helping employ Oklahomans, and you're helping to fund the state's economy. So what's better than that?
Welcome back to the Daily O. The NBA season is back in action tonight for the start of the 2022 season. There will be 2 games tonight, starting in Boston, where the Celtics take on the Philadelphia 76ers in an Eastern Conference matchup. The Celtics and 76ers tied in their season series last year, as both teams made playoff cases. The Celtics made it all the way to the finals last year, Boston's first time since 2008, but lost to the Golden State Warriors. Tip-off is set for 6:30 tonight. Across the country in the Bay Area, the defending finals champs look to defend its home court against its crosstown rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll see another chapter in the LeBron James and Steph Curry rivalry kick off tonight. It's safe to say that Curry and the Warriors got the one-up last year after taking home their 4th finals championship against the Celtics. James and the Lakers look to fix the issues from last year and return to the playoffs. Tip-off for that game is at 9 p.m. Let's move over to the MLB, where the playoffs are continuing tonight. The American League's divisional series between the New York Yankees and Cleveland Guardians was postponed last night due to rain and poor weather conditions. It was rescheduled for 3:07 today and is currently underway. The winner of tonight's game will face the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Phillies and San Diego Padres are set to start the National League Championship Series in a best-of-7 series, where the winner will earn a World Series berth. First pitch for that game is set for 7:03 tonight. The Broncos and Chargers faced off in a battle of AFC West foes on Monday night at SoFi Stadium. The Chargers came out on top 19-16 in overtime to move to 4-2 on the season, while the Broncos continue to struggle with new quarterback Russell Wilson as they fall to 2-4 on the season. The game started on a positive note for Denver, with Wilson completing his first 10 passes to 8 different receivers. Denver's first 2 drives resulted in scores: a field goal on the first possession and a 39-yard touchdown pass to rookie tight end Greg Dulcich. After going down 10-0, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert led his offense 82 yards down the field and capped the drive off with a 6-yard touchdown run from Austin Eckler. The teams traded field goals before the half ended, leaving Denver to go into halftime with a 13-10 lead. Wilson and Denver's offense seemed to collapse after the break, with Wilson going 3 of 11 in the second half and overtime for only 15 yards. Denver managed 1 more field goal, while the Chargers got 2 more field goals from Dustin Hopkins, who was fighting off an injured hamstring the entire game. It was Hopkins who put the game to bed, with under 3 minutes remaining in overtime with a 39-yard field goal. Herbert's 57 passes were the most in a winning effort without a passing touchdown in NFL history. It's time for one last break, but when we return, it's time for what happened on this day in sports history, along with some birthday shout-outs. We'll be right back.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
A Golf Digest 5-star course, Best New Public Course won an Open in 1994, and a top 100 public golf course in America since 2003. This course, just 5 miles outside of Stillwater, Oklahoma on Highway 51, is named after one of the influential golf pioneers this game has known.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek's a modern golf course.
The beauty of the course is in large part to the elements of the grounds. The Georgia fairway is transformed from its original forested landscape. Georgia was used to combat the tough winters so golfers could play year-round. The greens are large and sloping bent grass hills. The low-cut bent grass can be similar to glass during peak championship conditions. The bunkers surrounding most holes remind golfers of a white beach rather than a deep hazard. Lake Louise, surrounded by the second 9, completes the perfect finishing hole. The long par 72 course perfectly combines nature with the difficulty of a championship course. Karsten's added challenge is the Oklahoma wind.
So there aren't any other schools in the country that have that same commitment to college golf as we do here at Oklahoma State.
But if you're going to play at the highest level, you've got to be able to focus on where you want to go, and Karsten Creek does a good job of training you to do that, because if you don't, you're going to have a long day. And that's a great legacy that Coach Holder left, because that's the way he coached.
Welcome back to the Daily O. It's time to catch you up on what happened on this day in sports history. Let's start by taking it back all the way to 1974, when Chicago Bulls center Nate Thurmond recorded the first quadruple double in NBA history in an overtime win over the Atlanta Hawks. The Hall of Famer posted 22 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and 12 blocks. It took 12 years for another player to accomplish this feat, only done 4 times to this point. The NBA hasn't seen a quadruple double since David Robinson did it in 1994. Moving over to the gridiron, where on this day in 1992, Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Randall Cunningham surpassed Fran Tarkenton's all-time quarterback rushing record of 4,928 yards. The record was broken on a 39-yard run against the Washington Redskins. Cunningham's record stood for 14 years when Michael Vick surpassed it in 2006. Cunningham's record has also been passed by Cam Newton. Finally, in 2009, Tom Brady set the NFL record for touchdowns thrown in a single quarter with 5. Brady's historic quarter came on a snowy game at Gillette Stadium against the Tennessee Titans. Brady led the Patriots to a 59-0 win, one of the largest point differentials in NFL history. Now it's time for some birthday shoutouts, starting with NFL Hall of Famer Mike Ditka. He was an NFL champion tight end with the 1963 Bears and is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, once as a player with the Dallas Cowboys and twice as a coach. He was named to the NFL's 75th and 100th anniversary all-time teams. As a head coach for the Bears from 1982 to 1992, he was twice both the AP and UPI NFL Coach of the Year, and is the only person to participate in both of the last 2 Chicago Bears League championships, as a player in 1963 and as a head coach in 1985. Today is also Olympic and World Cup skier Lindsey Vonn's birthday. She won 4 World Cup overall championships, second amongst female skiers, with 3 consecutive titles in 2008, 2009, and 2010, plus another one in 2012. Vonn won the gold medal in the downhill at the 2010 Winter Olympics, the first one for an American woman. She also won a record 8 World Cup season titles in the downhill discipline, 5 titles in Super G, and 3 consecutive titles in the combined. She has the second highest super ranking of all skiers, men or women. With her Olympic gold and bronze medals, 2 World Championship gold medals in 2009, and 4 overall World Cup titles, Vonn is one of the most successful American ski racers, and is considered one of the greatest all-time skiers. Finally, today is Brittany Griner's 32nd birthday. The American basketball player is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and one of the biggest stars of the game. But she won't be celebrating as she continues to languish in a Russian prison. Griner was detained back in February and later sentenced for traveling into the country with some cannabis oil in her possession. Next week, her legal team will appeal her 9-year sentence in a Moscow court. Griner's attorney said recently that she was not coping well. Her friends and family are launching a messaging campaign to keep her plight in the spotlight. Her wife, Sherelle Griner, has said in a video that she's hoping for Brittany's swift and safe return. Today's strange sport for the day is bog snorkeling. Bog snorkeling involves a water-filled trench cut into a peat bog. Competitors wear snorkeling gear and then swim 120 yards, 2 consecutive lengths of the trench, in the fastest time possible. The catch is that they can only use their flippers to power themselves, which means no swimming strokes. Bog snorkeling was first played in 1976, and the first World Championships were held in 1985. The World Championships now take place every August bank holiday in Wales. The world record of 1 minute and 18.81 seconds was set in 2018 by Neil Rudder. Rudder is a 4-time champion and most recently took home the 2022 championship. In addition to the racing, there's also a costume contest every year. Proceeds from the World Championships go to a local charity each year. That's all for tonight's episode of The Daily O. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when Aaron Gonders has the latest in sports news around the world. For The Daily O, I'm Emma Lightfoot. Have a good night, everyone.
We would design something, it was set on the counter, and people was either, if enough of them said, you know, this isn't it, it never made to the line. Dad was excited that they're all original. They were all designed on Mom's kitchen table, and it gets in your blood after a while.
We're very happy that Pamela and Michael have taken over the business and kept the family going.
We took the business over in 2017. When we found that it was available, we wanted to keep the legacy of family alive, but it was also incredible products that deserved to be a part of Made in Oklahoma's story. We were a part of Made in Oklahoma years ago, and so it kind of grew as Made in Oklahoma grew.
Oklahoma is ingrained into everything that we did. We've been here most of our life. That's what we entailed our whole business on, was the Oklahoma homegrown feeling.
I'm Kristen Hawkins. I went to Oklahoma State University here in Stillwater in '99 to 2004. I've always felt like Stillwater needed more family-friendly things to do, and we have opened up AR Workshop. We do everything from knitting blankets that can be done in a 3-hour class. We create doormats and porch signs, the Christmas wreaths with our yarn that we use for the blankets. We also do, we just started a new project for gnomes, and we've done pumpkins during the fall. But our big thing that we do here are interior signs. Our designs are extremely unique to AR Workshop. Customers come in, everything is here for them to do. They create everything. They can be as hands-on as they want. They came in here to relax and have fun, and that they are proud of their project that they've made.
We use the very best of the best ingredients. Demerara sugar is the best that is. Very high quality fruits, berries. The milk we use is the best milk there is. That's why it makes our product stand by itself. I like to make yogurt because I like to eat yogurt. We've been doing this for ourselves for many years because it's a tradition in our family. And we want to have a product which would be very similar to French yogurt, but with our touch of uniqueness, linking our name, our products, with the reputation of the Made in Oklahoma Coalition was probably the best thing we have done as far as promoting our product.
Ace in the Bowl salsa started many, many years ago. I was trying to find a recipe to take to a family gathering, and so I started messing around with different recipes, and I took a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and I came up with a salsa that is truly unique. Ace in the Bowl salsa is an olive oil-based salsa with tomatoes, green chilies, green onions, and black olives. There's no sugar added, it's gluten-free, low calorie, low carb, low fat, low sodium. So it's a very, very, very good alternative to any snack you may want. As of right now, I'm just looking to be in Oklahoma and having a successful business within the state. If my grandkids could ever take it over when they're old enough, that would be my dream.